òṣìṣẹ́ wọ́n tún yẹ ká ó di wọ́n change ẹ̀ sí 7 nígbà tí wọ́n sọ di 8 bits wọ́n ti parí ẹ̀ láti gbà yẹn Ọ̀rúnmìlà dẹ̀ ti bímọ 8 tipẹ́ ó wá kó ikín 16 fún ìkọ̀ọ̀kan náà ọmọ 8 ó wá kọ́ wọn pé tẹ bá bù tó bá kù kan èjì ni ó tẹ̀ ẹ má bínú pé mò ń pé fáléwájú àwọn babaláwo tó fọ́gbà yanranyanran ló tún fẹ́ tó bá bù tó bá kù kan èjì ni ó tẹ̀ tó bá kù 2 ọ̀kan ni ó tẹ̀ ìkọ̀ọ̀kan nínú àwọn 8 yẹn they can only produce 2 symbols tó fi jẹ́ wípé 0 and 1 tó fi jẹ́ wípé tó bá ṣe bó ṣe ní kí wọ́n ṣe tí wọ́n bá sàbí ológun nǹkan tó máa já sí náà ni wípé you will get 8 1s and 0s which will give you 256 which will pick one of the 256 odù tó ti catalog
into wine
sílẹ̀.
ṣe mọ̀ pé it now goes further and that is where the Igbo comes into play.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
To now say okay whatever you are cataloging whatever is catalogued also have polarity. Pé a classify ẹ̀ sí ire a classify ẹ̀ sí ibi. So tẹ́ bá wá dáfá okay mo fẹ́ fẹ́yàwó gbà á Ifá balẹ̀ ó lọ sí yàrá ìdí méjì. Ifá wa sọ wípé nínú cataloging yẹn ìgbà tá a lọ wo àwọn tó catalog síbẹ̀ a wá rí i pé Ifá sọ nínú ìdí méjì Ifá ní pókó igi gúrù kọ ìgèdègèdè ní gèdè ẹ̀yìn ìlà jíjó òrìṣà sí adífá fún wọn ní ìdíkùnrin àbí fún wọn ní ìdíbìnrin ẹbọn mọ́ bí kò máa ṣe ìgbà ìdí ṣọ̀kan la ọ̀rọ̀ mọ bí ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ìdí méjì nílé ọmọ wọlé tán ni ìdí méjì ló sọ yẹn and after marriage if I am trying to allude to the essence of polarity in our systems. Now, it's option méjì ni. Táwa ti abáwọ́kọ́ ṣe cataloging and indexing. Àwa rí i pé ìdí méjì ni information à ń wá yìí ló wà. Would I go further to say that which polarity gangan ni ọ̀rọ̀ yìí wà ní catalog? Ṣé ire ni? Is it the positive side?
Ìyẹn ní àwọn ìwọ̀n pè ní classification.
Ṣé ibi ni? Wọ́n sọ pé babaláwo kì í sọ ibi. Àwọn àgbàlagbà wọ́n ní pé ṣó gbin. Ifá gbin. Pé ọ̀rọ̀ tó bá mú ká àgbàlagbà ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn pọ̀ ó sì ó jìn. Àwọn àgbà wọ́n ní pé ṣó gbin. Àwọn babaláwo kan ní pé ó gbẹ ìkùlé wọlé. It still alludes to we are looking for a positive annotations for negativity. So we are ó gbẹ ìkùlé wọlé. And now imagine pé tí ó bá gbin and this comes to the interpretation the decodification. So mo ṣe ń bá ọ̀rọ̀ mi bọ̀ mo rí the scientific tenet tí Ọ̀rúnmìlà ti outline and succinctly you will realize that this same Ifá kì í nú ìdí méjì a lè dá fún èèyàn méjì ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ká sọ fún lágbájá pé ẹ fẹ́ra yan union ni máa wà because a babaláwo it conclusively has to deduce from this. So Ifá is a code system that is not just one-off. It requires the ability to be able to decipher using certain mechanisms the codified message of Ifá in line with. So only mathematics fit here. Tí a bá wá sọ wípé pókó igi gúrù kọ ìgèdègèdè ní ìgèdè ẹ̀yìn ìlà jíjó òrìṣà sí òun ló dífá fún wọn ní ìdíkùnrin abù fún wọn ní ìdíbìnrin ẹbọ ọmọ wọn pípọ́ wá ṣe ìgbà ìdí ṣọ̀kan àwòrán ọmọ bí ìgbà ìdí di méjì rí ọmọ wọlé tọ́ ni Ifá dẹ̀ sọ fún wa pé ká má tẹ̀lé yọ ká má bàa yọ lọ which means Ọ̀rúnmìlà has told us that you cannot decipher the codes what have been codified literally. You have to reason from a non-literal point of view. You have to now start reasoning from a scientific point of view. From a scientific point of view, Omo can translate to ere.
Yes.
Because and to ṣe business tọ́lẹ̀ lọ́dún bá tọ́tọ́ pé ìgbà ìdíṣọ̀ kan láàárọ̀ ọmọ bí kò ṣe bá ní pé ó fẹ́ lọ bí monday business yẹn where the company can actually give birth to another company ó bímọ náà ni.
or give birth to profit.
ọmọ lè rí ayé so ó bí èrè so now ẹni tó àkọ́kọ́ tó wá dáfà lè sọ fún pé ẹ má fẹ́ra yín o torí pé Ifá kùnbò from the negative Ifá dẹ̀ sọ pé òun Ifá is seeing things from the negative. Now we can say the can be part of the deductions of Babalawo to say that ẹ ò lè fẹ́ra yín o because you don't have unified tenets. Ẹ lè cohabitation yín ò lè rọgbọ because ìdí òṣọ̀kan ọkọ àti ìyàwó yín wà aligned mindset yín wà aligned so tẹ́ bá fẹ́ra yín ó ṣeé ṣe kí ó ní problem kókó igi gúrù kọ igi tó ta kókó so ó ṣe kọ́rọ̀ yín ta kókó sí ojú kan o. We can see Bola says that ẹ lọ fẹ́ra yín o torí pé Fáforè fẹ́ sọ pé align. You can now see the influence of polarity in deciphering the sacred decoded message of Orunmila in that catalogued Idimeji. It shows the import of science. Addition, subtraction. I was talking to you about the matrices of Ifa yesterday. It shows the scientific import of Ifa or of Ifa. Now, it is my own, it's something that I want to know. We have established that science is in Ifa and this science can be utilized. However, how do we see, from your own point of view, from your experiences, how will actually, amplify the scientific tenet of Ifa? And how do we see that we bring it? I won't want to say bring it because these things have been there before what we call digitalization comes to play. But then how then do we resonate it with the current trend of digitalization?
We must first of all realize that everything boils down to information. And what is information? Why information? As humans, we are always under the need to make decisions and take actions. That is what our whole life is about. Every instant. The reason why we are here now is because we made a decision and took action.
Yeah.
Now, whenever you make a decision, that decision must be backed by information. Any decision that is made that is not backed by information is likely to cause problem. That's why we talk of informed decision. So the totality of Ifa, in my understanding, is an effort that Orunmila put in place to provide the necessary information at every junction of life.
For this decision you want to make, there's information that is backing it up.
Because there's nothing new under the heavens. Ìrírí ni gbogbo wọn. Gbogbo àwọn ìrírí yẹn ni Ọ̀rúnmìlà wá kó jọ. Tó pín sí àwọn catalog. You like that language?
Hey, I love that language.
Catalogued into
different
256 portals. I say libraries. And you now need to retrieve information from one of those places. Then you need an indexing system. So when you take a big book, you go to the back of the page and you look, and you go there. So that is what the process of Okbele or Ikin does. It directs you to a particular library to say, Lord Wubi.
You mean information to have backup decisions.
Tó máa fi pinnu, tó máa fi ṣe pinnu, tó máa fi ṣe nǹkan tó fẹ́ ṣe, wàá rí ń bẹ̀. And so now, you now talk of polarity also. That now talks about classification. Because once you are able to classify things, then when you meet a decision, when you meet a situation you have not met before, based on what you see already, you are able to classify the situation So once you now say, it belongs to this class, àwọn nǹkan tó ò tí ì rí ó wà ní class. For example, mo ṣàpẹẹrẹ lánàá pé ó níyẹ̀, ó ṣẹnu ṣóńṣó, ó ń fẹsẹ̀ méjì rìn, ayẹyẹ ni, which means you have classified that object you are seeing
as a bird.
As a bird. Now, that object you are seeing has never laid an egg in its life. Tọrọ ọmọdé lọ́jọ́ tán ṣe ẹ̀bí ni. Àgbẹ̀ oníjì àmọ́dúnlẹ̀ lọ rà as day old chick torí mọ̀ kó máa yẹ́yìn.
Torí pé a ti classify as ẹyẹ.
Because it has been classified as ẹyẹ.
Àwọn ọ̀gá attribute of ẹyẹ ni gbọ́dọ̀ yé.
Ẹyin ló máa yé, kò lè bí ọmọ, kò lè rọbí kó bímọ, ẹyin ló máa yé. That is classification. Now, the genius of Ọ̀rúnmìlà ni wípé gbogbo àwọn odù yẹn, they are making analogies to situations in life. So they can be regarded as analog information, because that's the meaning of analog. Analog doesn't mean old, doesn't mean manual, doesn't mean useless. It means it is based on analogies. Tó bá fẹ́ sọ fọmọdé, á pè lálọ́ torí wọ́n lọ́kàn mọ́kàn ni. Èyí tí ò yé, wọ́n lọ́ èyí tó yé mọ́ kó lè yé. Tó bá fẹ́ sọ fún ẹni tó ti ń dàgbà díẹ̀, wọ́n á pè ní òwe. Wọ́n fi èyí tí tó yé, wọ́n fi wé èyí tí ò yé ni kó bá lè yé. Tó lè jẹ́ pé àtàlọ́ o, àtòwé o, Yorùbá kì í sọ pé wọ́n sọ òwe, wọ́n ní wọ́n pa á. Tán bá pa nǹkan, ká lè rí nǹkan tó wà nú ẹ̀ ni.
Wọ́n pa ẹyin.
Wọ́n pa ẹyin, wọ́n pa èkùrọ́, ẹdìyẹ pamọ́. Ẹyin yẹn ó ṣí, ọmọ inú ẹ̀ jáde. So tó bá pa òwe,
is to reveal
the inner content. Tí wọ́n bá pa àlọ́, is to reveal the inner content. Tí wọ́n bá pa ìtàn, wọ́n tanná sí, wọ́n tàn bí bàtàrí ẹ̀ bá tàn lẹ̀, to reveal the inner content ni. So ìyẹn ni ó máa ń kún mi lójú, tó dẹ̀ máa ń kọ́ mi lórí ní tí n bá ń wo pé gbogbo èyí táwọn òyìnbó wá ń sọ kọ̀ǹpútà nǹkan yìí, Ọ̀rúnmìlà ti ṣe kínní sílẹ̀, ó dẹ̀ ti ṣiṣẹ́, ó dẹ̀ táyé ṣe láti lẹ̀.
Ibi tó yẹ tán náà là fún òyìnbó nìyẹn.
Ó wá di wípé òyìnbó wá ń lò ó nísìnyí. Ibi tí ó sì máa ń dùn mí ni wípé àwa èèyàn dúdú pápá àwa Yorùbá tó dà yẹn pé Ọlọ́run gbé ìmọ̀ yìí fún, a gbé dé ibi tí wọ́n ti máa tẹ́tí gbogbo ayé ti máa rí kedere pé Yorùbá ló tọ́nà ọ̀la yìí fóyìnbó. Mo sọ nínú kíní ètò mathematics of fashion mo ṣe yẹn pé 1815 ni wọ́n bí George Bull, 1840 50 something ló bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣe àwọn tó ṣe tí wọ́n fi ń pe gbogbo nǹkan tí kọ̀ǹpútà gbélé lórí lẹ́ni ní Boolean algebra. Wọ́n fi porúkọ ẹ̀, wọ́n fi dá lọ́lá pé Boolean algebra. Ṣàṣà ní nǹkan tí mo rí nínú Boolean algebra tí mi ò rí nínú Ifá. Èmi tí mo dẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ yẹ ọ̀gbẹ̀rì ni mí o. A kàn ń gbọ́ wẹ́wẹ̀wẹ́ ni díẹ̀. Torí náà ó dá mi lójú pé nǹkan sì kì síbẹ̀ ju ìtawà ń rí ló fẹ́ẹ́ yìí.
But then as much as nǹkan kì síbẹ̀, àwa ń gbìyànjú, we're trying everything possible to see that we expand on this. You are doing a great job. We are all doing great jobs to see that we bring out the technological essences of Ifá, Amujai láti advanced society. Currently, we're talking about computational linguistics, and you can't do that without òun la fi sọ̀rọ̀ Ifá ṣàkàndòrí náà ṣàkà tá a sọ lẹ́kọ̀ọ́. And àwọn codified technologies formula kó sínú àwọn ẹyọ Ifá ni. However, we now have a challenge, and that challenge is the challenge of globalization, because we want to afẹ́jẹ́ kí ó dàbí Ifá kan tó sọ nínú Ogbe Ìyọnú tó sọ yìí pé erin kú wọ́n fi wẹ̀ gbẹ́ke, ẹfọ̀n kú wọ́n fa wẹ̀ dábàtà. Different formula tó ń sọ pé òun tó ló ń fẹ́ lọ rúbọ Màkàíjà. Now, màkáyéjá díẹ̀ is another word for globalization. Mo fẹ́ jẹ́ kí gbogbo wa global. Òun fẹ́ kó ayé já in all aspect of his life. We can personalize it and we can globalize it. Personally, mo fẹ́ káyé já maritally ni o, work life ni o, knowledge life, all the aspect of his life ó káyé já. But about your personal life, òun là kúrò ńbẹ̀. Pé mo fẹ́ lọ káyé já the world generally, and that is global. To me, that is globalization. Now, Ọ̀rúnmìlà wá rí àwọn challenges kan nínú ìtàn Ifá yẹn wípé ẹ̀tàn pọ̀ nínú ayé nítorí pé àwọn wọn ló máa bọ eégún, wọ́n gbàgbọ́ lọ́wọ́ òun ló àfẹ́ ìlú padà síbẹ̀, òun realize pé